It's me again. Okay, here we go. A response video to Nick, who doesn't seem to really respond to my argument. And he talks like at the end of his video, like, let's have a conversation about Austrian economics or some other kind of thing. But he never seems to want to really do that. So, anyway, I will spell it out again and try to provoke him to make some sort of concessions or some sort of counter-argument. Look, the Austrian economics thing is just basically unregulated market economics. It has no chance of stopping the William Randolph Hearst syndrome, where you create huge inefficiency in business by allowing one guy to have the deliberate effort is to destroy all competitors, to annihilate the market, so then you can exploit the market, overcharge, make a huge fortune. Creates tremendous waste, a bunch of bankruptcies all over the place, all that kind of crap. And if no one's going to be paying for the bankruptcies, if the public isn't going to finance bankruptcies, that means the shareholders are going to have to be liable for debt. So instead of losing just their share money, they'd have to also pony up if the business went bankrupt. And, so people are going to be a lot more careful about giving money to companies. So it's going to be even easier for some very rich capitalist to just wipe whole industries out, take them right the hell over. So anyway, that's a quick view of Austrian bullshit. Look, let's look at this like any other engineering project. Let's say you're going to invent a new game for the public, like soccer, football, whatever you want to call it. All right. Now that gets a little complicated because what's the value? What's the thing you're trying to create? You're trying to create something called entertainment. Well, that's subjective bullcrap, so you're going to have a lot of hard equations to decide, well, shall we make more goals happen in the game? Or shall we have more fist fights? More players kicking the other player in the groin? Making the rules for that game would be complicated because it's about entertainment. It's not about scoring goals. So let's define the goals of an economic system. The goal is basically to extract as much productivity out of human beings without being what's called exploitive, without stealing them of the value of their life, turning them into farm animals, a slave, I don't know how to say it, oppressing them, destroying their life, the quality of their life. So you just have to have a system that creates incentives that encourages people to constantly try to improve their output, to do better, that they get rewarded for it and they do it. And the idea is also to create as little waste as possible. So you want to try like hell to avoid things called bankruptcy. You don't want to destroy businesses, you want to fix businesses. If they're broken, fix them. Don't destroy them. Fourthly, fifthly, sixthly, there's all kinds of things. There's productive competition and there's destructive competition. There's competition that keeps somebody honest, and there's competition that just ends up driving both companies into the ground, giving them both incentives to do things that aren't productive. All right, so let's also look. Here's what we have to make the game out of. We have these things called consumers. We have these things called workers. And for some dumb reason, we've decided to keep from the way, way dark past these things called emperors or owners. Now, you can evaluate consumers. Yeah, you need consumers. That's human race. That's people. Workers. Yeah, you can see the necessity of people actually building things for other people to use and for us to, make our contribution to the overall pleasantness of life. But the owner thing, what's their contribution? They don't have a contribution. They don't do crap. The argument would be something like this. If we're going to decide how a business is going to run, is there any kind of guarantee that a bunch of arbitrarily chosen spawn of the rich who don't necessarily have any credentials whatsoever or any education in the field are going to pick the right CEO, are going to be any more competent in picking the right CEO than a collective of consumers and workers, the people? There's no rational reason to think they're going to be any better at it, that they're going to know any better who the best man for the job is to decide how the business should be run, what innovation, how much it should spend on R&D, all that kind of crap. All right, on the work floor, what do you want? You just want it to be where, like I said, people constantly have an incentive to do their best, to give their best, to give it away, because they're going to get rewarded for it. So it's going to be a fair contract. So if you have a bonus system, where if you do something that is very profitable to the efficiency of the company, the business, then you get a reward for that. You get a reward for coming to work and doing your job. It's just not that complicated. And you can do that within a range of salaries from, say, $40,000 a year to, $400,000 a year, $500,000 a year. You don't need to offer any billion-dollar prizes. You never really deal with this argument, but I mean, you've seen the rich. You've seen that they're not doing it for their kids. They're not making money for their kids. They couldn't give a rat's ass for their kids. They couldn't even poop out a little tiny shit, give a damn for their kids. They'll let, cretins raise their kids. And if their kid doesn't come out the way they want it to, if it doesn't even look the right way, you'll find that kid in some homeless shelter somewhere. Drug addict, commit suicide, it's the rich are a joke. So we don't need to have any incentive for people to be able to make zillions of dollars so they can give it to their kids. It's just a pile of shit. Ownership of control of the game really should be something you earn. Like the ability to drive a car or anything else, you should be able to pass a test. You shouldn't just, it's not some kind of birthright. I made the argument before, but yeah, there's no birthright to the right to drive a car. You got to earn it. And it's complete waste to have a whole class of people that have no obligation to earn what they receive from the system, what the system gives them. It destroys the value of the money. It destroys the value of the incentive carrots that you're trying to put in front of workers. Okay, so now you're arguing about government. The flaw in government is that the wrong people have the power. The workers have too much power, the consumers too little power. That balance is imbalanced because the owners, the government officials, are in the pocket of the unions, in the pocket of those who can bring big blocks of votes to the goddamn voting booth. So it completely corrupts the system. It's like having a system where, one team or the richest team is going to be able to hire the umpires or something. It creates an automatic bias built into the system, and it destroys what you have to have is a balance of power, a true balance of power. And that's all you're trying to engineer in an economy, is a balance in power. And what's imbalanced in our current economy, the biggest ill of the current economy, is that the owners think they are super rich. Not just rich, they think they are super rich. And they're going to try to extract that super wealth from an economy that does not possess it. And if you never allowed that excess to be created in the first place, you wouldn't have this problem. If you never created a system that allowed surplus to be more profitable than work, owning surplus, you wouldn't have this liability, you wouldn't have this problem. That's where it all goes wrong. Surplus should retain its value. It should not earn value. And I know as a man with money in the bank, you have this expectation that you're somehow entitled to make money on money. But it's a bullshit notion. And if you get rid of that notion, that's all it is a notion of how things should be, it goes back to where it should be. Whereas you get profit, you extract extra when you do productive work. You don't extract extra because you put some money in a pile somewhere. Because there's no sense of it. There's no consumer interest in that being the scenario. That surplus should just make money by sitting there. It's insane. By being invested, or whatever the right word is. Now, it needs to be invested as a matter of serving consumer demand. And that can be done through non-profit businesses. So if you just create the public option regarding all aspects of the economy, it will keep all the capitalist crap in check. There'll always be an alternative. No fucking monopoly could take over and play a pricing game. It's your ultimate protection. And all you have to do is design that public option not to be controlled by the working union, but to be equally controlled by the consumers. They need a balance of power to keep that union from exploiting them also. That's all this is about. It's about controlling exploitation, manipulation, abuse, self-interested excesses. So anyway, end of commentary. But you really don't deal with this rich man equation. We do not need rich people. We do not need owners. They serve no functional purpose. They are a waste of oxygen.